In the Eventide is from our church songs record that came out in 2016. It is a song that is meant to help people find hope in the midst of suffering and heartache, and with everything going on with the coronavirus right now, I bet a lot of people are in that season of life. I'm not going to play the entire song, just bits of it, but more I wanted to share with you about some of the harmonies of the song and how they help to undergird the narrative of hope. The song is in the key of E flat major, and the verse material is pretty straightforward. It's just E flat major, B flat major, C minor, and A flat major with a little bit of the non-chord tones in there. It goes like this. In the eventide, in the dark of nights, when our breaking hearts fail to see the light, help us then to rest in your faithfulness and the sovereignty of your grace. So very straightforward in the verse. The pre-chorus begins with this chord here. Pretty dissonant chord. It goes to this one, another pretty dissonant chord, and then ultimately resolves to here C minor, E flat over B flat to an A flat chord. And then the chorus itself begins again in E flat major. There is hope in Jesus Christ, F minor, our 2 chord. In his sacrifice, C minor, we find peace. Shadows of this sinful life will fade away in glorious light. The chorus, for the most part, 6 with diatonic chords, E flat, F minor, C minor, B flat. You get this G major, which goes to the C minor, so just a 5 of 2 in there. But everything else, it should fit into the hands quite nicely and should be quite palatable to your ears as well. But again, it's this pre-chorus where things get a bit spicy. And these aren't arbitrary chords. This song, again, it's about finding hope in the midst of a difficult time. And the words are, Lord, while we wait for your return. There's anticipation, there's this unsettledness, this instability in the harmonies primarily. And so I wanted the chords that are supporting this melody, supporting those lyrics to sound and feel like you're waiting. So this chord is a G augmented. It's G, B natural, and D sharp. You could think about this as mainly a G major triad, and that's why I called it a D sharp, not an E flat, because I think it's G, B natural, D sharp. So it's like a dominant chord that is trying to resolve to C minor, which is this submedian chord, the 5, trying to go to 6. But as this chord sounds, the bass steps down to this F major chord that has now an E flat on there. I think I would call it an E flat at this point. So G augmented to F7, this major minor 7 chord, and then finally the melody gives way and resolves to a B flat major chord, and then we get to the C minor chord. So one, I wanted the dissonance to be present there as we're grieving and as we're waiting for the return of Christ. This life shouldn't feel too comfortable. It shouldn't feel like home. We're waiting, and so this kind of dissonance ought to be a part of that. And ultimately, if you think about this G augmented chord, it does eventually resolve to C minor. So we get G augmented, F7, and then the F7 is the 5/7 of 5, which it resolves to it accordingly. And then eventually you get to the C minor chord, which then starts to head towards the cadence. So that G augmented chord, that really dissonant chord, you have to wait for the resolution of getting to C minor. It eventually does resolve there, but it has to pass through some more dissonance, some more temporary resolutions before it finally gets to its destination chord. Oh, not that one. Yeah, that chord. Sometimes the resolution feels like that though, but it gets to that C minor, has a 7th on there as well. And so it's supposed to be a sweet song. It's supposed to be a hopeful song and a comforting song, but not at the expense of the reality of suffering. And so maybe this is how your life feels right now, and that's okay because there is hope in Jesus Christ.